Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's Lunch and Learn series regarding the job-related graduate education certification policy. My name is Nicole Smoot, and I'm a tuition specialist here at CUHR, and I work for the Tuition Programs Department. Alongside today, I have my colleagues, Michael T. Burge and Katie Lamador. They will be fielding any questions you have in the chat, and after the presentation is done, I have to advise you that we can and will address any questions you have regarding the policy. However, we cannot answer specific questions about, let's say, the degree program or graduate level courses that you are interested in enrolling in. I know a number of people do reach out to us and say, hey, does this qualify as job related? That's not a question we can answer because your department or your direct supervisor is better equipped to advise on whether the courses and or program are in alignment with your current position. So we kindly ask, simply because we cannot answer them, that you address those types of questions to your department and your direct supervisor or your local HR manager. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. The job-related graduate education certification policy applies to employees who are utilizing the tuition exemption benefit for graduate level degree programs or courses. You may be eligible for a tax exemption on the value of your tuition benefit. To qualify, the tuition exemption benefit provided by the university for undergraduate, to clarify, the tuition exemption benefit provided by the university for undergraduate courses is not taxable. So again, any courses that you take that are, whether they're non-degree or degree program for undergraduate, is not taxable per the IRS. Any tuition benefits, including tuition exemption and the related employee rate discount, which is available for officers only, apply to graduate level courses and degree programs, are subject to taxation per the IRS regulations. The tuition exemption benefit provided for graduate level courses, and we categorize that as courses that are at the 4,000 level and above, is tax exempt up to $5,250 in a calendar year, which is again January through December, aka the tax year, per the IRS. As such, any graduate level education benefit provided to you above $5,250 is considered taxable income and subject to payroll tax withholdings. If your graduate level degree program or non-degree courses meet the job-related criteria established by the IRS, you may be eligible for an exemption for those taxes. The university provides employees the opportunity to certify their graduate level education tuition benefits above $5,250 as job-related and therefore non-taxable. And, as we stated here at the bottom, we will provide links to all of these policies, be it the IRS or Columbia's job-related policy, at the end of the presentation. And anyone who signed up, whether attended or not, for the presentation will be sent a copy of the deck along with the links. Just an FYI, the policy does not address undergraduate degrees because, as previously stated, they're not taxable, and doctoral programs. Per the IRS, the value of employer-paid doctoral programs is never exempt from taxation. So that's Columbia working in alignment with the policy outlined and defined by the Internal Revenue Service. The policy also does not address courses taken outside of Columbia University, since those are not covered by the tuition exemption benefit, nor does it address courses taken by your eligible family members. So just to expand on that a little bit, we know that we have officers who utilize their benefits their tuition exemption benefit for spouses and dependents. Obviously, they cannot utilize your job-related benefit because they are not employed by the university. And even if they were, we do know we have spouses who both work at Columbia. Even if they were, the program would have to be specific to their job, and they should ideally be utilizing their own benefits as a Columbia employee to take advantage of the tuition exemption and job-related. Again, since the tuition exemption policy does not apply to institutions outside of Columbia, Barnard, or teachers, I shouldn't even mention Barnard because that's undergrad, but Barnard and teachers specifically, the job-related policy does not apply to that. Who is eligible? To be eligible to apply for a tax exemption for the graduate level education benefit above $5,250, you must be enrolled in a graduate level degree program, post-baccalaureate graduate certificate program, or non-degree courses, and able to certify that your graduate level education is work-related. What qualifies as job-related? The IRS considers the following criteria when determining job-relatedness and thus exempt from federal taxes. A, the education maintains or improves skills required in your current job, or the education is required by your employer or the law to keep your present salary, status, or job. And the coursework is not needed to meet the minimum education requirements of your current job. And the coursework is not part of a program or study that will qualify you for a new trade or business, nor is it a PhD or other doctoral program. So just to kind of summarize, to comply with the IRS job-related criteria, either A or B must be true, and both C and D must be true. If your graduate level education is certified as job-related, Columbia University will not withhold taxes on the tuition costs toward your tuition exemption benefits. It is important to note the following. Graduate level courses taken as part of a non-degree program are evaluated per individual course. Additionally, no non-degree courses must be certified each term. Additionally, non-degree courses must be certified each term to determine job relatedness. A graduate level degree program or post-baccalaureate certificate program is evaluated as an entire program of study. Therefore, you only have to do the certification once, but as these forms are due every semester, those individuals enrolled in degree programs or post-baccalaureate certificate programs can certify one time, but then their supervisor must submit a copy of their original certified job-related each term. In contrast, individuals enrolled in graduate level courses that are non-degree, they are taken on the individual course basis. So they have to complete the job-related form for non-degree specifically, because we have two forms and we'll get into that in future slides, but they must submit the non-degree job-related form, list the courses they are enrolled in for that specific term, and provide documentation on how those individual courses are related to their job, their current position. And that must be done every term for non-degree students. So to summarize, graduate level degree and post-bac certificate programs, certification once, supervisor submits a copy of original certification every term. Non-degree, they recertify every semester. So they're downloading a new form, listing new courses, all the required signatures, and the supervisor is submitting that every term. How to complete the JRGEC form for employees. Okay, so after you have been officially accepted and enrolled into a graduate level degree program, post-baccalaureate graduate certificate program, or courses, and that could be non-degree courses, follow these steps, please. You're going to log into Cubes with your Union password and select tuition. For those of you who might be new or unfamiliar with Cubes, the HR Cubes website, and that stands for Columbia University Benefits Enrollment System. that's kind of the hub where you go to sign up for your benefits. So that would be, you know, healthcare, your transportation, your Vanguard or other retirement accounts. That's where you would sign up for them, complete all necessary forms within the CUBES website, and it would outline your deductions, you know, for those benefits. That's also where we house the tuition forms. Under tuition exemption benefits, so when you log in, you'll click tuition, and then under tuition exemption benefits for yourself, select either job-related graduate education certificate degree program or job-related graduate education certification non-degree form for individual courses. You are responsible for completing the JRGEC form, including the required documentation, and submitting it to your supervisor for certification of job relatedness. The form cannot be processed without all of the following required documentation: a list of core courses for this degree program or non-degree courses. For each course, you must provide a brief statement as to how the course will improve the skills needed for your current job. We provide samples of that on our website. Again, all links will be provided within the deck at the end of the presentation. A copy of your current job description. If you do not have a copy, you should ask your human resources manager or academic departmental administrator. A copy of the descriptions for the degree program, post-bac certificate, graduate program, or non-degree courses from the school's website. Send a copy of your completed form and all required documentation to your supervisor. It is the responsibility of the employee supervisor to review and certify whether or not an employee's graduate level education is job related. All JRGEC forms must be submitted via email by your supervisor each term to Student Financial Services at tuitionexemption-students@columbia.edu to confirm the form has been signed and certified as job related. Each term, your job-related forms must be submitted by your supervisor before the last day of the change of program period. Incomplete forms will be returned and not processed, and that can cause delays and possible taxation. How to access the JRGEC form. So here is the link to our human resources page. It's the landing page here. You want to select the CUBES, highlighted here by the yellow arrow. You'll be prompted to log in with your CAS login. So again, it's your union password. We use it for everything: emails, logging into other Columbia systems. That your CU credentials are used for all of that, and the HR CUBES website as well. Once you have successfully logged into CUBES, you will see you can access your forms in two locations. The top arrow here is for tuition, and you click on that. Or at the bottom, you will see tuition eligibility forms. You can click there, and it will take you to the following page where you will see the forms that are available to you. Keep in mind, this is just a snapshot of one sample employee. This employee doesn't have any benefits, so they don't have the other tuition forms loading for them. But as that's not pertinent to today's presentation, don't worry about that. I say that to say the CUBES is specific to individual employees. So if you have dependents, your dependent forms will load here as well. But those of you who are just only concerned about your tuition exemption / job related forms, this is where you would find them. Sorry, going back. You will see here under the job related, there are two forms, one for degree and non-degree. It's very important that you select the form that's specific to your courses or program, because submitting the incorrect form, again, causes delays. It cannot be processed. The forms and all the documentation will be returned back to the employee, and we will ask that they complete the correct form for processing. Depending on the time frame, how long it takes the employee to complete that, again, they run the risk of having taxation occur. So here's a sample of the job-related graduate education certificate form for degree programs. Let's see, can we magnify a little bit? Yes, let's make it a little bigger. Again, this is just a sample form. So normally a lot of this stuff is this stuff up here in the header is pre-populated for you. It's a specific form for each employee, which is why you have to log into Cubes, and the system will pre-populate your name, officer group, or if you're a union or non-union support staff, it will place that in the header. And then the employee goes about filling out the form below. So, and checking off all these boxes. This is page 1. Page 2, again, highlights the policy that the education maintains or improves skills required for the current job, or taking the required degree program or courses is a requirement by the law or Columbia or your employer, to keep your present salary, status, or job, and falls into these two other categories. That one, it's not PhD or doctoral, and then C, the coursework is not needed to meet the minimum education requirements for your current job. Okay, so this, as I stated, this is for a degree or post-baccalaureate certificate programs. You enter the degree name, the school, your expected, your start date, and your expected date of completion, i.e. your graduation date, like when you feel you will successfully complete the program. And you put that there. Here is where you fill out how the degree program is related to your current position. We know this box is a little small. We do have people who type up a separate Word document and attach that. That's fine. But I highlight this because all of this is required. The form cannot be processed if this is left blank. Okay, so moving right along. Let's zoom out. And here's the third page, also very important. This is where the employee signs and dates. And please pay very close attention to this section. Supervisor approves and certifies. So if your supervisor is also certifying that the program is related to your current position, they would sign here. Or, I say or because there should only be one supervisor signature. Again, I have to highlight this because we do get supervisors, managers, etc., who sign in they approve and certify section, and this section here that says supervisor does not approve and declines to certify. Obviously, that is not clear to the individual processing these forms because it's contradictory. They are approving, but they're not approving. So this is something else that will cause delays in processing, as we will have to return the form back to you and have you download a new form and complete this section. If your specific department requires that a department supervisor or HR manager also signs off on it, then they can sign here. This is not a requirement, again, specifically, but if your individual department states that, someone else, i.e. HR manager or department supervisor, also would like to sign off, they can sign here. But the two main required signatures is the employees and their direct supervisor. Let's pivot back to the first page. Okay, this is page 1. Oops, sorry. This is page 1 here. Additionally, when filling out page 1, it asks for the supervisor's name, uni, and their email. The person listed here on page 1 should be the person signing on page 3 and certifying or declining to certify. Again, if the names don't match, we will deem the form incorrect and therefore it won't be processed. And not to sound repetitive, we will return the form back to the employee/supervisor and have them complete a new copy. Okay, I'm not going to go too in depth with this simply because it's basically the same form. This is the JRGEC form for non-degree. The only real distinction, oops, what happened here? Okay, my apologies for that. I'm just trying to zoom in on the form. Okay, here we go. The only main distinction or difference is, as stated previously, graduate level courses must be certified each semester. So a new form each semester as you list the new course and course number and how these specific courses are related to your current job. Again, we do know that this space is a bit small, and we do know that employees register for more than 2 courses, and that is fine. If you run out of space, as stated prior, just type up a little Word doc, list your course name, your course number, and how it is specific to your current job. And again, page 3 is the same, so I won't go into a deep dive, just a friendly reminder that the employee's signature and the direct supervisor's signature is important, and it must be on the form. And again, supervisors should only be signing in one of the 2 spots. Either they approve or they decline, and they should not be signing in both. Okay, so those are the forms. The following are instructions for supervisors on how to complete the JRGEC form. So it is the responsibility of the employee supervisor to review and certify whether or not an employee's graduate level education is job-related. To ensure job-related justification is sufficient, kindly refer to this deck or the job-related graduate education certification policy. Again, there's a link embedded and everyone will get this deck, so it'll be easy to access and locate. If the JRGEC form does not include all the required documentation, it is incomplete and must be returned to the employee. Degree programs and post-bac certificate graduate programs are evaluated as an entire program of study. Non-degree courses, including courses taken as part of a certification of professional achievement, are evaluated as individual courses. Carefully review the employee's JRGEC form and ensure all required documentation is complete and accurate. Every JRGEC submission must include the following: a list of courses for the degree program or non-degree courses. For each course, the employee must provide a brief statement as to how the course will improve the skills needed for the employee's current job description, a copy of the descriptions for the degree program, post-bac certificate, graduate program, or non-degree courses for the school's website. I'm going to add one more to this. The supervisor also should double check the employee has signed the form too, and they should sign it themselves. All JRGEC forms must be submitted by the supervisor each term to the Student Financial Services email, which is tuitionexemption-students@columbia.edu, to confirm the form has been signed and certified as job-related. You should include in the subject line JRGEC, the employee's name, and their uni. As the employee supervisor, your email certifies that the JRGEC form is complete and that you have reviewed the required documentation and confirmed to the best of your knowledge that the employee's assessment of the job-related criteria is true and accurate. If the JRGEC form does not meet the criteria for job-relatedness per the university policy, you should decline to certify. Please provide the reasons you consider the graduate level education is not job-related, and review the reasons you decline to certify with the department's head of HR. Please copy the employee on your email to Student Financial Services and the certified job-related form for their records. Again, the subject should be JRGEC, employee's name, and uni when sending those emails. So how do we avoid processing delays? I know that I've mentioned that, so this could get a little repetitive, but again, submitting incomplete or incorrect forms can cause delays in processing and possible taxation and result in the form being returned to the employee and or supervisor for correction. So Here are some examples. Again, I've highlighted that, so forgive the repetitiveness, but not completing the program or course description area. Again, this cannot be blank, and therefore it cannot be processed if it is blank. Not submitting all 3 pages. This happens a lot. And I know a lot of folks are using the scanners at their departments, and I know this happens all the time. It's happened to me. You put the forms in through the auto feed, and it doesn't, especially if you've printed the forms on double-sided, it won't print like page 2. So we get a lot of submissions where they will send page 1 and page 3, and page 2 is missing. We need all 3 pages to process the form. It will be considered incomplete because technically it is incomplete. So just be aware of that when scanning and emailing, that you have scanned all 3 pages. Again, in addition to that, they should be legible. We do have people who occasionally send us blurred copies or things that are unclear. If we can't read what's on the form, we cannot process it. So again, that's something to consider when scanning. Not signing the forms. I know I've kind of been very, very vocal about this, but yes, both the supervisor and the employee signatures are required for completion and processing. I did highlight this, well, all of this earlier, but the supervisor listed on page 1 on the JRGEC form and in the employee's HR record is not the person signing the form. We do see that we have individuals who will, I don't know, have someone else sign, and they shouldn't be signing the form. We have to let them know that it has to be the supervisor of record on the HR site and the one listed on the form. Emailing your completed JRGEC to incorrect email addresses or departments. So again, this is the email address for Student Financial Services. All tuition exemption forms go there. Kindly send them there for processing. Again, this is specific to supervisors and we covered it, but signing the form too many times. Only one signature in the correct spot. So either certifying or not certifying. And again, previously covered, submitting incorrect forms. So you're in a degree program, but you submit the non-degree form and vice versa. Okay, avoiding processing delays, signature samples. Again, here's just a screenshot. The employee signature, that's good. Supervisor, only one spot, please, not both sections. When do I have to recertify? Okay, so employees enrolled in non-degree programs must recertify the form each term per the JRGEC policy. That means you download a new form from the HR Cube's website, and it is signed by both you and your supervisor and turned in before the submission deadline, which again is the last day of the change of program period. I know I didn't highlight this before, but now would be a good time to say that for the current fall term, the last day to add drop or the last day for the change of program period is September 15th, 2023. Okay, so employees who have a change in their job description, title, position, etc., or change of their degree program must recertify their form. So if you are in a degree program, and obviously if you switch degree programs, you'd have to certify or prove why the new program is related to your current position. And if your current position changes, likewise, you'd have to recertify as to why this degree program you've been previously enrolled in also applies to your new position. All other employees, so that's people enrolled in non-degree courses, can have their, oh, I'm sorry, forgive me for that. All other employees can have their supervisor submit a copy of their originally certified JRGEC form each semester if they don't fall into the 2 categories above. So again, if you're not in a non-degree, and again, if you have not had a change to either your program or your current position, you can turn in a copy of the original form via your supervisor. Okay, so helpful tips to mitigate tax or financial hardship. This pops up for us here in CUHR rather frequently, especially for individuals who are considering enrolling into graduate level courses that aren't work related. Okay, Our advice to you would be to maybe consider taking undergraduate courses or programs that are in your field of interest if they are not work related, because that would completely alleviate any taxation, because as stated, undergrad courses are not taxable. Or they should consider spreading graduate level courses into separate calendar years to maximize the annual IRS cap of $5,250. So I know it's been a lot of policy information, but to rewind and refresh everyone's memory, the IRS gives an annual cap on the tuition exemption benefits that employees receive. So that cap is $5,250. That's free. That's tax-free, I should say, per the IRS. So one way to spread that into 2 separate tax years or calendar years, you would take one course in the fall term and then take another graduate level course in the following spring term, because that would be in the upcoming year, the new year. And that could help mitigate some of your tax liability if it's not work related. Okay, we have to remind folks specifically, since we work here at a university and we are so used to the academic year or school year, but for taxation purposes, the calendar year, which runs from January to December, is the tax year per the IRS. Okay, if you believe you have submitted all your forms correctly, check a few of your pay stubs just to ensure that income isn't being imputed or taxed. I say that to say this is still a very manual process. It's a lot of paperwork for the employee and the supervisor to complete. And again, the person or individuals processing these forms, it's done manually. So we have to account for some human error, unfortunately. Having said that, if you submitted everything, you've gotten, and you believe you've done everything correctly, once taxation begins, you still might want to check a couple of pay stubs just to make sure that your form is actually processed. In addition to that, the system, which is SIS, the Student Information System, where the forms are processed, does generate email confirmations for both the job-related form and your tuition exemption form. So again, if you submit all your documentation, you should be getting 2 email confirmations. 1, that your tuition exemption benefit has been processed, and 2, that your job-related certificate has been processed. If you don't receive those 2 emails, you might want to email and say, hey, I submitted my form on such and such a date. Can I get an update on the processing of the form? Okay, so how to apply? We get this question a lot, so we thought we'd add this bit to the presentation. We say that because CUHR doesn't have any say on admissions. We offer the benefit to cover eligible courses for employees, but that's it, and we administrate that benefit. Okay, administer that benefit, excuse me. So I would say you have to please reach out directly to the school, their admissions office you're interested in, to inquire about the admissions and application process. Once you've done that, you should be receiving, a registration date. Most of that is housed in what used to be Student Services Online. I do believe the new system is now Virgil. Anyway, there's a page there that highlights your registration and appointment times, and you are allowed to go in and register for your classes then. Once you do that, once you've registered your student account, and SSOL will record the degree or non-degree courses and the associated tuition costs. We have also created 2 helpful checklists, one for officers and one for support staff, that runs you through the submission process. Okay. When you submit your tuition exemption eligibility form to CU, Student Financial Services, Teachers College, or Barnard College Bursar's office, your form will be processed and the tuition exemption credits will be applied to your student account. Please keep in mind, you must submit the tuition exemption form and job-related form, if applicable, each term you are enrolled in courses. Key terms to note: change of program period. This is the designated time period at the start of the term in which students may add and drop courses. This is always updated on the University Registrar's academic calendar, and we provide that link. So they updated for each term and throughout the term with important dates. So if you do become a student, that would be a handy site to bookmark for you. Imputed income. Imputed income refers to benefits that employees receive that are not part of their salary or wages, but still get taxed as part of their income, such as the tuition exemption benefit for graduate level courses. Okay, here are the links as promised to the policies. So you have the JRGEC policy, the tuition exemption policy, the one for officers, the checklist for officers, and the reduced employee rate discount, again, specific to officers. Here are the additional links for non-union support staff to the tuition exemption benefits pages. For unions, there is the collective bargaining agreements. We do feel that if you are in a union, you do want to refer to your specific collective bargaining agreement because it also does detail your eligible tuition benefits. And the checklist to the tuition exemption submission guideline for support staff, both union and non-union, is listed here as well. Another link to the university academic calendar, a link to the directory of classes, a link to student services online, aka Virgil. We have an FAQs page for the tuition benefits, and we have a link to our tuition programs lunch and learn series. We have rolled this out this current year, and we will continue to do these going forward in future semesters and calendar years. And they're for all of our tuition programs. So not just tuition exemption and job related. We cover PTS, which is the primary tuition scholarship, CTS, which is the college tuition scholarship. Both of those benefits are specific to officers of the university. We also cover College Coach, which is open to all employees, both support staff, non-union and union, and officers. It provides helpful insight and information on the college application process. So those of you with dependents or children who will be, let's say they're high school age and they're starting to get serious about their college plans, College Coach is a great resource on how to apply, figure out majors, do your application process, your personal statements, the documentation you'll need to gather. I do also believe they might walk you through some of the financial aid aspects of it. So again, that's a great resource for parents who are going to be embarking on the college application process for their children or dependents. Here is our contact information. Our Benefits Service Center is open from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. That's our number, our email, a link to the Human Resources tuition page specifically, and Student Financial Services. The same email address where you send your forms is also where you can ask questions to follow up about the processing of your form at Student Financial Services. Thank you all for attending. There will be a survey. We would love and welcome your feedback on today's presentation. And I'm going to stop sharing and we can open up the floor to questioning. Thank you once again. For those of you who are going to jump off, we appreciate you attending today's Lunch and Learn series. Thank you.